If you're having problems with your posture, one of the most important exercises to include in your arsenal is the front squat with an Olympic grip. And if you're suffering with the front squat, or if it's not comfortable for you, that is exactly because you need it. Yo, this is the G from Force Training Academy, this time checking in from the living room. I am on holiday today, taking a little bit of a rest, and had an online conversation with a guy called Marlon, who is a fellow drummer. If you have been watching my videos for some time, you probably know, or reading my blog for some time, you know that I have been a big and avid follower of the Convict conditioning program and community. Literally since the book came out, I still use those principles and exercises all across the spectrum, right? I find them absolutely amazing, although in my opinion some of the important parts are missing from the book, but it does make sense because it's more like an overall guide to develop strength and power, and not an educational book on corrective exercise. In your case, Marlon, you need corrective exercise because you're strong already, you're drumming, so your endurance is probably quite high as well. Just a fun fact, heavy metal drummers are amongst the top athletes of the world according to strength, speed and endurance. So you send me a video, you send me a bunch of pictures, I have checked them out, and yes, it's correct that you're doing front squats already, but you're doing them wrong, and that's why your posture is not improving. You're struggling with the same thing I have been struggling for many years, because I'm a drummer since the age of 5, and I started exercising with Convict conditioning as well. And the book makes it sound like it's an overall solution for all of your life problems, but it's not really. It's just a guide to get stronger and more powerful. So for me, Convict conditioning was, and I think it is for everyone, it's a stepping stone and a foundational book, but you definitely need to read if you are exercising or if you're lifting, but you will definitely need to take it to 1, 2, 3, 4 steps up from that, because in my opinion, right, I couldn't master the one arm pull up until I fixed my imbalances within the body, and I'm still struggling with the one arm push up because it's constantly different imbalances and different misalignments are coming up every now and then as I'm progressing towards that thing. That this has been for the last 10 years. So it is really a quest of life, so to say. Okay. Also, I need to say that I'm not rushing in those progressions. So it is not my life goal to achieve a single arm push-up, handstand push-up. I'm doing it for the fun and for educational and corrective purposes to become the strongest I can be. Okay. Back to the front squats. I have seen your video and I have seen the pictures, and it's clearly visible that your shoulders are slouching forward and your upper back is hunched forward. And when you're actually picking up the bar for the front squat, your elbows are in the level of your nipples. The elbows should be all the way up here, right? You don't feel your wrist, and you don't feel your forearms straining because you're not lifting your elbows. When you're unable to generate external rotational torque, that is this, you're not mobile enough to get your elbows up, I don't know if you can see it, and your hand beside the shoulder, you will compensate for it this way, right? So your forearm is almost vertical, and if your forearm is vertical, that has to be a telltale sign that you're holding the bar with your hand and shoulders like you would in an overhead press, instead of actually resting it on the shoulder and hooking your arms under to let it rest on the torso and extending your back. Okay, so that's the first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed that your feet are turning out, so you're right there when you're squatting. And when you have about 40-45 degree external rotation in the feet, it doesn't really matter where your knees travel anymore, because you're not able to generate the necessary torque to stabilize the hips and to stabilize the knees. Why I'm talking about the knees when you're talking about your posture in the upper back is because if you do not stabilize the pelvis, you won't be able to get a good spinal position, because the pelvis is obviously connected to the spine through the SI joint. If the pelvis is in a fucked up position, your SI joint is going to be in a fucked up position, which is going to twist the spine. And if the spine is misaligned on the lower parts, it has to be misaligned on the upper parts as well, because it works like a whole unit. The first thing I would do, I would make sure that I'm standing much closer to parallel. Okay, so the feet, they all don't have to be completely parallel like this. That you can get some external rotation on that, but make sure that you're still able to squeeze your ass and get the knees traveling out to the side with a good amount of force. You can test it on your own. If you just set up and turn your feet out 45 degrees, you don't really have a range of motion anymore in your glutes to try to squeeze the knees out to the side. So if you look at this, I'm squeezing as much as I can and it still doesn't look good, as opposed to right this, which looks a little more organized. So try to bring your feet more of a parallel position. Now I have to excuse myself a little bit, because as I said, I'm in my living room. There is no tripod here, and I'm holding my iPhone in my hands. So I will need to find a little stand for it. The front squat for you. And I found a lamp. I don't even have barbells in the gym, much less in the house. So this will be my barbell for the demonstration. Okay, so what I see in your front squat from the upper body part is this, right? That's the position you're in. And so what happens here, let me come closer, if I start squatting down even with the proper pelvis position, look at my forearm. I am literally overhead pressing this bar, right? From this position, my forearm is completely vertical. This is like I could just overhead press this thing, right? I don't want to smash the lamp, but I could just simply do an overhead press with it. So what I'm trying to say is you want to get the bar closer to the shoulder and lift your elbows up. And if you do it right, you'll notice that the bar sort of cuts into your throat here, below the Adam's apple. Okay, so it kind of makes hard to breathe because it rests up on the bony structure of your shoulder. It kind of has to cut into the throat. If you're tighter or you haven't done this for ages, I would allow you to roll out to the tip of the fingers, because the hands don't really hold the weight in this position. The weight has to be sitting on your shoulder, on the bony structure. So what the fingers do, they really just keep the bar in place. Tuck your head in, lift up your elbow. Now you've got that thoracic extension, you can see it, and you can hear it cuts my neck as my voice changes. So from this moment, if you squat down, you have to stay. Let me come closer. You have to stay upright. Simply because your wrist and your hand cannot take that load. So the first thing you want to do is to get the elbows up, hands out, and elbows in the middle. You start from this position, okay? The second thing is to pinch the shoulder blades to allow some move in the scapula to get into the deep externally rotated, flexed position of the shoulder. Look at it. You could even put a book on my shoulders. That's the position you want to be in. And then tuck your chin in, and as you go down, keep the chest up as much as you can. You do the front squat right if you don't feel it in the legs during the exercise. It has to be a heavily compound whole body exercise, so you should feel it everywhere and nowhere. Once you set the weight down to the rack, in about 30-40 seconds, that's when you should start feeling your legs. During the exercise, it's so compound that you're squeezing everything, you cannot really localize the load within the body, okay? If you do it that way, that's gonna help you. I already feel this one rep even with the lamp in my lats and in my back. This is gonna help you to extend that back up, and it's also going to help you to play the drums from a little bit of a better position, because you will have the strength to put the shoulders back to their sockets, so you'll probably gain some extra range of movement and speed to get around the kit. Now if you feel discomfort in and around the shoulder, that points out where your tightnesses and discomforts are. So you see a picture posted within one of the comments of that Facebook thread, and I will probably just post it under this video in the comment section as well, so you can take a look at it. That's one of the stretches you could do to help getting rid of the tightness. The thumb over the bone of the pinky, line it up, then hold your other thumb with 2 fingers, turn the entire structure into the chest, and then push it down. As deep as you can. Hold it a little bit and switch the hand. And if you do this about 4 or 5 times on each hand between sets, it's going to help you to realign that wrist, taking away that pinching from here and that strong stretch from here. If you're extending your elbow as much as you can, hold that position for about 30-40 seconds on each side. It's gonna help you to get into that dorsiflexion of the wrist. Front squat, I think once you've get the front squat done, and as you can see, you can do it with a lamp. I find that the heavier the object, the easier it is, because it sort of pulls you into the stretch. I cannot do it with a broomstick because it lifts up and chokes me. That's it for now. Hope you find this helpful. If you have any more questions, just keep posting on that thread. And one more thing, our channel is feeding off the soul of our subscribers. So if you like what we do, you know what to do. You will need to subscribe. Also, make sure you hit that little bell button as well, so you will get notified whenever we decide to feed again.